can now send a request to my workflow, right? To start triggering my workflow. It's going to the blog host drafter agent is now working. You see,
and you can see the node spinning.
Hello, everyone. We are back at Microsoft, Open at Microsoft show, and we're back with the Microsoft Agent Framework team. Hello, everyone. So we are at Redmond, and we have the pleasure to have an announcement here. Shawn, tell me what's going on. What you're going to announce today on the Agent Framework? I had the first video that was very popular, and what's going on? Tell me.
Yeah, well, so by popular demand, we're going to release Agent Framework to version 1.0. We feel ready. We really thank everyone for having the feedback they've given, working with the community over the last kind of 5 months. You get feedback. We've finished up all sorts of features on Agent Framework, and so we now have version 1.0 of Microsoft Agent Framework ready for you to use. And our goal really is making something that is ready for your production and scale applications for agent systems.
That's an exciting time because we had a lot of feedback since we announced here at the show, and I'm gonna see now not just what's new from the first video to this one, on that feedback period from public preview and going GA, but also maybe what's a little bit from what's coming, what's next, what's on the roadmap as well. Rob, you wanna show us something? You wanna
Yeah.
go straight to the demo?
I just want to mention that
Yeah.
now with Agent Framework GA, we are also GAing the VS Code extension support for it. So it's all ready for your production use as well if you happen to work in VS Code.
I think what you're going to show is like how you can use the extension really closely with Agent Framework to really kind of speed your agent development up. It's been really cool demo. I'm really excited to see it.
How to get from scratch the extension. Let's see it.
All right, here I am in VS Code. So I have the VS Code extension installed here. Here on the left side, we have this code toolbar where we're going to use a bunch of the features from here. But the most exciting thing I'm going to show you here is actually over on the right hand side in the code chapter. So the AI Toolkit not only installs a bunch of UI tools, into VS Code that you can work with, but also installs Microsoft Foundry Skills. I'll show it. We can check. It's actually here by typing in /skill. So the extension installs 2 skills into your environment. So the first one is called Agent Framework Coding. So this skill has all the knowledge about Agent Framework and how to work with the best practices and different patterns. It knows how to create agents in the right way. The second one we install is called Microsoft Foundry. And by name, you can tell this is for Microsoft Foundry service. Once you build your agents, you can deploy to Microsoft Foundry for management, for evaluation, for a bunch of cool stuff afterwards. So this one knows how to work with the service.
So one of them is about like your deployment to the service into Foundry.
Right.
And one of them is about kind of building agent. And then the nice thing, of course, is I think those are using like MCP servers and stuff under the covers.
Yes.
And so it's always up to date with like our latest guidance, our latest SDKs, all the stuff for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And these skills get updated automatically. You don't need to install a newer version of the extension. So automatic happens.
That sounds great. So there's to start for scratch, halfway done.
Yeah. Now with these skills installed, we can turn Copilot into an expert in Agent Framework. So now I can just prompt it to say, create me a multi-agent workflow. So in this case, this is a session I did earlier. So it's just for time's sake, I'm going to show you this one. That can draft blog posts and review the blog post content using a Foundry model that I have deployed in the cloud. And then the scorer is going to read the content they generated and score it. If it's good, score it's over 75, it's going to publish the blog post. Otherwise, do nothing. So it's kind of a multi-agent workflow that we want to orchestrate here. And then Copilot would figure out the right skill to use, right? So that's part of the benefits of having skills laid down in machine. So it knows, okay, I'm gonna read the Foundry skill because I mentioned I want to use a Foundry model. And then instead, oh, I know I want to, have to read this agent from code skill, so I know how to craft my code. So then it did a bunch of thinking, and generate this full project for me.
And all this normally takes a few minutes. Like if you've used this before, it's kind of working through the skills. It's generating code. It's trying.
Yeah, it's a full project. It's laid out on my machine, with these files created. It even knows that I have a Foundry project fit in my VS Code extension right here. This is a Foundry project. It actually looked into that and knows I have 2 models deployed. So it put the right endpoints into my environment.
That's my favorite feature by far. Because I'm always trying to guess what part of the URL I need, which key I need, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I can pull that in for me. Saves me so much time. Yeah.
So it's pretty much ready to go. It even included these VS Code launch files and tasks. So it's all ready to go. So we have code here.
And the launch files are for like debugging and
Debugging, yeah.
And for me, I love the Docker file there.
ready to deploy.
Yes, all good to go. So if we look at the code, this is the main code generated for my workflow, right? We're using the agent framework here because I'm building a multi-agent workflow. It's using the workflow builder, enables how to orchestrate my multi-agents together. I can, come in here and separate. It's just like what we would normally do with any code. And then we can just hit it. And I do want to show this is the debug configuration we generate by default. That's what the norms.json file has already set up for us. So all I have to do is to press it file. And just like how we would debug any application CPS code, right? So that's gonna launch a build session. And then hit a breakpoint at some point. But what's even cooler than just debugging a file is we put this piece of UI on top of our debugging space here, what we call an agent inspector. So it's a lot of things all you want. So we came up with this name that hoping that it reflects what it actually does. It's really about inspecting the running agents or such workflows. So on the left hand side is visual, because we composed our workflow using code. There's nothing visual. I don't know if I did it right.
Well, and this is a pretty simple workflow, but like very quickly you can get into workflows with a half dozen agents and loops. And it can sometimes be very hard to see what's visualize is going on in the code. So it's really nice to be able to kind of see this kind of graph.
So that graph is something new from the first version, from the last video. So was here on VS Code before?
I mean, this is new. So what I think that we showed last time is we have an internal tool with agent framework called WI, which is doing something very similar. Probably when you last saw it, probably when we did single agents, but we've added multi-agent. We share a lot of the capabilities and code between the two teams so that you can use it, within VS Code, within your debugging environment, or you can use the same kind of capabilities kind of standalone as part of agent framework for testing and validating your agents as well. But it's the same sort of stuff. It's a playground. It shows you the different executors, the different nodes within your graph, allows you to talk to your agent, allows you to see importantly the events of the tool calls, which is really important when you're kind of debugging your agent system.
Yeah, I can see everything in one place. I can see the UI out there. Amazing.
Yeah, and this is not just a static, right? There's updates dynamically as you run through this.
There's even a deploy button, but we're not going to talk about this today. Maybe next time. Okay.
Like I can now send a request to my workflow, right? To start triggering my workflow. It's going to the blog host drafter agent is now working. You see,
and you can see the node spinning.
Yeah, you can see it will do this flow. Now it's trying to look for the latest release, so its code release and draft blog post, and then as we move along here, we'll see more information popping up. Not yet, but we'll be able to see the input and output of each agent. So if I click on one agent node, I see the information here. Individual events, captured here as well, and any tool calling that happened during this workflow. So it's really the all-in-one thing. It's a playground, it's a visualizer, it's a way a tracer, trace viewer, all in here. And this runs entirely locally on the machine. So I see here that it's running on my localhost. Not yet deployed to any service yet, so you can iterate as many times as you want. And
So you still can open these on the browser as a dev UI as before. Open the UI of the browser.
Yeah, you can use the UI tool as part of the agent framework, or you can use it as part of the extension
On the extension.
that's in here. Yeah.
yeah, so now we are moving to the second agent. Just let's run through this workflow one by one. Now we're getting some information here and more events getting collected. So you could rate any of these events.
I like the trace as well. I love the trace.
You like the DJ? Those traces are a little overwhelming.
Very good. But developers, I want developers.
But when you're trying to find that bug,
Yeah.
the traces, yeah.
Yeah, now it's moved on to pass the draft to the reviewer to score. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I know this is a fairly simple workflow, but I've definitely thrown some pretty complicated workflow at the tools, and it's done a pretty good job. And we can see here, one of the nice things I love about this kind of visual tool is that it's still running on the code. It's not like a pure low code experience where you're kind of trapped in that experience. It's literally running my pro code here. And so the breakpoint gets hit, and now I'm like right back into the debugger, and I can see, I can see the state of my machine. I can see all the watch points are being like that.
Like how you would debug any other applications. I can continue this workflow. Now it's back here. Now it's trying to finish up the last step in my workflow. So yeah, and then you can see it's good. A tool is called as well in my workflow because I asked to save my blog post to Word document at the end. So there's this tool call happened, so you can kind of see everything with related to your workflow and then fixing issues if there's any. And then that everything runs locally. Now I can bring up Copilot, ask it to try to fix issues and so on. So
And what kind of improvement we did on the workflow itself? What's possible now? More use cases available.
Yeah, I think over the last few months, we've been spending a lot of engineering effort on the workflow engine. A lot of it has been around bug fixes and performance and those kind of things. But we've added some more patterns. We've added some more capabilities where you can do things like fan in and fan out, map reduce, so you can kind of parallelize your agent systems. And what we're also starting to look at is like how you can use these workflows in these kind of longer running, more intensive. So one of the things we're adding into the framework is the ability to support these kind of long-running workflows that can be resumed and checkpointed, especially as we see a lot of these kind of claw type scenarios, open claw becoming a lot more powerful. We want people able to build those on agent framework, but really have the power to deploy those at scale, observe them at scale, be able to run them at scale in kind of a sane development environment with a lot of those features.
Yeah, and one thing we're going to bring here another video with discuss a little bit about memory as well. So for enterprise companies that looking to use Legion framework in production, they want to make sure that all the box are ticket. So persistence of the workflow if something goes wrong. And you told me something about something coming in the future that you work on to be looping those workflows. Tell me, is something we can talk about or just
that's what I was getting at with kind of these Claude loops and these agent loops, which is a lot of
the feedback that we're getting from it.
That's right. Yeah. I think a lot of the especially the newer models over the last few months, we've seen I've been able to kind of pay attention a lot longer, and so kind of running those models in these longer loops is something that's really interesting. And a lot of challenges that come from that are places where we think agent framework can help. One is like these long running tasks. They work a lot better when you kind of give your agent a computer. So like giving it access to a file system, the ability to execute code, be able to do shell execute. That's all like really important to do in a way where you can handle permissions and it's not just kind of running wild on your system. The other, you were mentioning memory, but kind of keeping that context constrained for your agent. So we've added things around chat history compaction scenarios where you can provide strategies where we can pull out some of those tool calls from the history. Maybe you don't need them anymore. We can summarize some of the history. We can truncate it, kind of keeping your agent on task as it runs longer and longer.
Yeah, it's great. Then for someone watching, we get feedbacks a lot from the community, from the Microsoft MVPs, for anyone that's like really digging on those, on the framework of the last few months. What do you see, Ron? What do you see improving more on the last few months?
On the language.
The leadership, what's a great one?
Yeah. Big C# and .NET community out there with the plan. We want to make sure that C# is a first class language in Asian framework. So developers have the choice of picking their preference.
So Python.
Python.
Also, what languages are supported? I remember that was a big question on the first video when we announced the product was, which language is
Yeah, so I mean, we take it very seriously, especially for .NET and Python. I think those are the two languages for agent framework right now. We'd love to do some more languages in the future, and we're just start thinking about it. But those are kind of the two, and we do take very seriously trying to have parity between the two languages. As we're developing features, like as they're in preview, depending on which engineering team is working on them, they may start on Python first, they may start on .NET first. So you'll see stuff kind of go moving at different rates. But once we kind of finalize a feature, we do want to make sure that it has parity for both of those languages. Because we do see a lot of folks using .NET and C# to build these agent systems, especially at scale as you move into these enterprise environments, which is a real focus.
Yeah, I know. I have a lot of Python. We're going to bring you back, mate. Don't worry. We're going to talk about. So, someone will start tomorrow. I'm happy that she now is supported. We are committed to keep this going. So, how they get started? Just get the extension.
Yeah, I would say the easiest way to get
I
started.
think so. And the other thing I'll mention, getting started, if you're starting from scratch, definitely get the extension.
Yeah.
But the other place where the extension is really, really useful is migrating from other frameworks. So in a lot of ways, the agent framework is the successor to semantic kernel, is the successor to AutoGen. And so if you were building solutions like in those frameworks already, just open them up at VS Code, use the extension, ask it to migrate you to agent framework. I've seen really, really good results doing that. Folks have been able to migrate very quickly and easily to the new agent framework, which is our consolidated path forward. Like with both the AutoGen team and the semantic kernel team are working together on agent framework. It's our path forward for agent building at Microsoft.
And so you always looking help also because this show we always promoting the open source project, and we ask now people to help. So if you want to join the project, become a contributor, maybe documentation, get the first issue there for the GitHub, and help with how is that community engagement?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously go to our GitHub repo, agent framework, GitHub.com/Microsoft/agent framework. Issues, discussions, we're all very active there. We have an active Discord. You can find a link to that on our GitHub. And then also I'd encourage folks, we do weekly office hours. You can meet the engineering team. Most of the engineering team is there every week. And you can join us and talk about stuff. And then yes, certainly we accept contributions and integrations with agent framework. So you'll love to get engagement from the community for that.
That's how. Any final thoughts on?
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Pretty sure
appreciate it.
it's a journey, and I'm really excited. We are here finally at the GMAX.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you guys to try out and see what you're building when agent framework and coding, and let us know what you want to see more, and where we can do better, what's missing, and together with your needs.
Yeah, let us know. Make sure that you follow the Microsoft Developer Channel and the Open Microsoft Show. We're going to bring more videos. So wait there. There's so much. Don't forget the deploy button I told you there. Don't forget the memory. We don't forget about Python if you're a Python developer, if you're a C#. Let's bring a few videos later. So watch out. See you all soon. Thank you.